Have you ever seen perfection in motion? Like, not just really good or solid, but mind-bending, how is that even possible brilliance? That's what watching Pedro Martinez at his peak felt like. This isn't just a stat sheet flex, though yes, the numbers are jaw-dropping. This is about storytelling, about a 5'11" wizard from the Dominican Republic who rewrote what dominance looked like, all the while facing the most juiced-up hitters the sport has ever known. So in this deep dive, we're going to relive Pedro's absurd run of brilliance. Before Pedro was melting faces in the late 90s, he was sharpening his tools. And yeah, those tools turned out to be lethal. Let's rewind a bit. Back in 1995, 23-year-old Pedro Martinez started turning heads in Montreal. Now, the Expos weren't exactly the center of the baseball universe, but they sure knew how to spot talent. Pedro had shown flashes of brilliance, but 1995 was when he really started heating up. By the time 1996 rolled around, he'd earned his first All-Star appearance, and it was clear this wasn't just a guy with a good arm. This was a problem for hitters. Then came 1997, and Pedro didn't just make noise. He took the whole league by storm. He struck out 305 batters and took home his first Cy Young Award. Let that sink in. Over 300 strikeouts in a season in the National League in a relatively pitcher-unfriendly time. That's not dominance, that's supervillain behavior. Then came the move that changed everything. In 1998, Pedro signed with the Boston Red Sox. And if you're a Red Sox fan, you already know this was the moment. The Sox didn't just get an ace, they got a flamethrower with surgical precision, a one-man wrecking crew. He finished that first Boston season second in Cy Young voting, right behind Roger Clemens. But that wasn't a loss. It was a warning shot. Pedro was just getting started. So what made Pedro so unfair to hitters? Let's break it down. He had a four-seamer that danced in the upper 90s with ridiculous movement. Then there was his curveball, a pitch so filthy it should have come with a viewer discretion warning. But the real crown jewel, the changeup. Oh man, that changeup. A circle change so nasty it could end careers and start existential crises. Tossed with the exact same arm speed as his fastball, it came in about 15 miles per hour slower, just enough to make hitters wing at ghosts. And let's not forget, he also had a cutter and a two-seamer he'd mix in now and then just for fun. Pedro was strategic, fearless, and absolutely relentless. Between 1995 and 1998, he was stacking the blocks. But starting in 1999, he built a skyscraper of dominance that the baseball world is still staring up at in awe. So yeah, Pedro was great before the world caught on, but what came next? That's what turns a Hall of Famer into a legend. The 1999 season. Now let's talk about the fireworks, because in 1999, Pedro Martinez didn't just dominate, he ascended. Pedro came out of the gate like a man on a mission. By the end of April, he was already sitting on a 2.21 ERA with 5 starts in the books. Not bad for your opening act, right? But it was May 7th that set the tone. The Angels, poor guys, ran straight into a buzzsaw. Pedro went 8 innings, allowed 6 hits, 0 walks, 0 runs, and struck out 15. And get this, only 51 times in Major League Baseball history has a pitcher struck out 15 or more without allowing a walk. And Pedro did it 4 times. Fast forward to mid-July, Fenway Park, the 1999 All-Star Game. Pedro's home turf, national spotlight, a loaded National League lineup. Did Pedro shrink? Please. He opened by striking out Barry Larkin, Larry Walker, and Sammy Sosa. 3 All-Stars gone. Then came Mark McGwire. Same story. Pedro punched him out too. And just for good measure, he mowed down Jeff Bagwell as well. That's 5 future Hall of Famers, all whiffed. Pedro was untouchable, and the baseball world felt. But there is one knock on Pedro. Earlier in his career, he'd sometimes fade late into the season. Not in 1999. That September, Pedro was throwing gems. In 5 starts, he gave up basically nothing and piled on strikeouts like it was a batting practice. Most memorable, against the Yankees, the team of the era, the defending champs. In enemy territory, Pedro struck out 17 Yankees and gave up just 1 hit. A solo shot to Chili Davis. That was it. Let's take a look at his final numbers from the 1999 1999 season. And yeah, they're absurd. Pedro finished with 23 wins, a 2.07 ERA, and an eye-popping 313 strikeouts over 213.1 innings pitched. That's already elite, but the deeper you go, the more ridiculous it gets. He struck out 13.2 batters per 9 innings, which at the time was a major league record for a qualified starter. He walked just 1.6 per 9, showing off pinpoint command. And then there's the power prevention. Pedro allowed just 0.38 home runs per 9 innings. And here's the real mic drop. His fielding independent pitching was 1.39. That stat strips away fielding and focuses only on what a pitcher directly controls: strikeouts, walk, and homers. It was the best FIP since Babe Ruth's time. Yeah, it was that good. In the 1999 postseason, Pedro lit that fire and then walked right through it. Let me explain. The Boston Red Sox had clawed their way into the American League wild card, and they were up against a Cleveland Indians team that was basically an offensive cheat code. We're talking about the first team to score 1,000 runs in a season since the Red Sox did it back in 1950. Just pure firepower up and down the lineup. Pedro got the start in game 1 and was rolling until the 5th inning when disaster struck. He tweaked his back and had to leave the game. Cleveland took advantage, came back, and took the win. The relief appearance of the century. Pedro Martinez entered the game in the bottom of the 4th inning, and from the moment he toed the rubber, Cleveland's terrifying lineup went completely silent. He showed no signs of injury, no hesitation, just pure dominance. In that first inning of relief, he retired the side in order. Sandy Alomar grounded out, Kenny Lofton followed with a ground out, as well as injuring himself on a headfirst slide, and Omar Vizquel lined out to first. It was a quick, effortless 1-2-3 inning. In the 5th, Pedro faced the heart of Cleveland's lineup. First up was Hall of Famer Robbie Alomar, who grounded out. Then came Manny Ramirez, one of the best right-handed hitters of his era, and a future Red Sox teammate, who managed to draw a walk. Only blemish on Pedro's night. Jim Thome, already having hit 4 home runs in the series, stepped to the plate next. He struck out awkwardly on a pitch he thought he had fouled off, but the call stood. Finally, Harold Baines, another future Hall of Famer, came up and was frozen on a perfect fastball for strike 3. In that one inning, Pedro made 3 Hall of Famers look completely overmatched. Do you really love this content? If yes, make sure you subscribe. Now this is the twist. The top of the 7th inning brought a crucial moment for the Red Sox. With 2 runners on base, Troy O'Leary stepped up and crushed a 3-run home run, giving Boston a slim but vital lead. The pressure shifted back to Pedro, who was still pitching despite his injury and still in total control. In the 9th inning, Pedro returned to finish what he had started. The first batter, Enrique Wilson, grounded out to shortstop Nomar Garciaparra. Pedro pitched 6 innings of relief. He allowed no hits, no runs, and issued only 3 walks. He struck out 8 batters, and he did it all while injured against one of the most dangerous offensive lineups in baseball history. Fast forward to the year 2000, during baseball's high-scoring steroid era, most pitchers struggled to keep runs down. The average ERA in the American League was 4.92, meaning pitchers gave up almost 5 runs every 9 innings. Only 5 pitchers had an ERA under 4, but Pedro Martinez was on a whole different level. His ERA was far better than everyone else's, and his whip, walks plus hits per inning, was just 0.737, the lowest in Major League Baseball history. Even with Pedro's amazing season, the Boston Red Sox didn't make the playoffs, winning only 86 games. Pedro's record was 18-6, and even in his losses, he pitched like a star with a 2.44 ERA. His ERA plus stat, which compares pitchers to league average, was an incredible 291, the highest ever recorded. In a time when hitters were dominating, Pedro stood out as nearly 3 times better than the average pitcher. So here we are. We've spent some time walking through the brilliance, the numbers, the jaw-dropping moments that made Pedro Martinez more than just a great pitcher. He was a master of his craft. Pedro didn't just overpower hitters, he outthought. He made MVPs look clueless and Hall of Famers shake their heads in disbelief. Every start felt like a show. Every inning a performance. So yes, have your GOAT debates. Talk about Clemens, Koufax, Maddox, Johnson, them, name your legend. But if Pedro Martinez isn't in your conversation, then honestly, you're not having the full one. Think Pedro deserves even more love? Drop a comment. I want to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos like this. See you next time.